The morning of General Elijah Braxton's funeral arrived like an overcast warning. Thick clouds hung low over St. Mary's Cathedral in Arlington. The Gothic spire stabbed into a gray sky, casting long shadows on the black-clad mourners gathering below. The air smelled of rain and rose petals, the kind of day that felt designed for grief. By 6 a.m., crowds had begun to form. Press, veterans, civilians, dignitaries from around the country. Black women in wide-brimmed hats held the hands of children in dress shoes. Elderly men in decorated uniforms stood shoulder to shoulder, back straight despite their canes. Inside the cathedral, the organ played soft hymns. Security swept every pew, every hallway, every stairwell. On the outside, the line to enter stretched around the block. St. Mary's Cathedral was no ordinary church. Its stained glass told stories of sacrifice and resurrection. It had hosted state funerals, political ceremonies, and historic protests. It was old, proud, and hauntingly quiet, until that day. At the front of the sanctuary stood a massive oil painting of General Braxton in uniform, surrounded by the flags of all 50 states. Just beneath it, a mahogany casket rested on a velvet platform, draped with the American flag. Every inch of the service was precise. A 21-gun, salute scheduled for 10:15 a.m., a flyover of F, 22 Raptors at 10:30, eulogies by President Monroe, Senator Charles Hastings, Reverend Alton Sims, and Marcus Braxton himself. Every seat was filled, every camera was rolling, and somewhere outside the cathedral, Officer Darren McConnell was watching. Officer Darren McConnell stood near the cathedral's southeast entrance, a hand resting casually, too casually, on his hip. His badge gleamed. His body camera was turned on, but tilted slightly. His eyes, shaded by dark Oakley sunglasses, scanned the crowd not for safety, but for offense. He saw them everywhere, black faces in black suits, white allies in long coats, journalists carrying notepads, soldiers with medals he thought they hadn't earned. "Whole damn parade for a guy who hated his own country," he muttered to his partner, Officer Rick Harper. Harper, younger and new to the force, shifted awkwardly. "Maybe we just stick to the job today." But McConnell didn't respond. His hand tapped the butt of his gun once, twice, like a drumline waiting to march. At 9:32 a.m., a black stretch limousine pulled into the cathedral driveway. Out stepped Marcus Braxton, wearing his father's military trench coat over a fitted black suit. He looked tall, somber, and unshakable. The crowd fell into a hush. Cameras zoomed in. A few quiet sobs echoed. Celeste Braxton, leaning on Marcus's arm, followed behind. Her face was stone, her eyes unreadable behind a black lace veil. The honor guard stepped forward to meet them. Silver-gloved hands lifted the casket from the vehicle with the kind of reverence usually reserved for saints. But as Marcus and his mother made their way toward the cathedral steps, McConnell watched them like a predator watches movement in the brush. Then he twitched. It happened fast. Too fast. Marcus, adjusting the weight of his mother on his arm, reached into the inner pocket of his coat to pull out a small envelope. The funeral program with his father's eulogy. From across the lot, McConnell tensed up. "He's reaching," he barked. "Hey, HEY." In one motion, he pulled his service weapon and sprinted forward, arm extended, finger already on the trigger. The scene unraveled in seconds. Screams erupted. Celeste gasped and stumbled backward, nearly falling. Marcus froze, envelope still in hand. McConnell was 5 feet away, gun pointed directly at Marcus's chest. "Drop it. Drop it now." Time slowed. Raindrops began to fall. Photographers ducked for cover. News cameras spun toward the chaos. A voice cut through the panic. "Gun. On a civilian. Gun drawn," shouted one of the military police. But McConnell didn't budge. To him, this was his moment, his war, not the one overseas. The one at home, the one he believed no one else was brave enough to fight. "Drop the weapon," screamed another voice, this time from behind him. McConnell's arm shook. He locked eyes with Marcus, who stood motionless, his hands open, showing the envelope. "No weapon," Marcus said calmly. It's paper. Just paper. That was when Colonel Reggie Holmes, a retired black Marine who had served 2 tours with Braxton, stepped forward. He didn't yell. He didn't flinch. He walked directly between Marcus and the barrel of McConnell's gun, chest high, eyes unwavering. "You want to shoot a man today, officer?" he said. "Then shoot me." In that instant, a joint security officer lunged from the side and tackled McConnell to the ground. The gun clattered across the wet pavement. McConnell shouted, "Thrash, cursed. They're all liars. They're setting me up." His screams echoed off the cathedral walls like a haunted sermon. The crowd stood in shocked silence. Then the cameras flashed. Dozens of angles. Cell phones. Live broadcasts. The entire world watched as a white officer, foaming at the mouth, was wrestled to the ground in front of a casket wrapped in red, white, and blue. Inside the cathedral, the organ had stopped playing. The crowd was stunned. Mothers clutched children. Veterans removed their hats. A young black boy in a suit whispered his grandmother, "Why did the police want to shoot him?" She didn't answer. Her eyes were wet. Marcus stood frozen outside, heart racing, body trembling. But not from fear, from rage. He looked down at the funeral program, now damp and crumpled in his hand. This was supposed to be a day of reverence, a final goodbye. Instead, it had almost become an execution.